These are the top 5 things you can do to get glowy, non-greasy, gorgeous spring and summer skin, as tested and tried by someone who is a chronic grease ball. As you can probably tell from my scalp, I have struggled with oily, acne-prone skin my entire life, and I never fully understood the difference between having oily skin versus dewy skin. And even as an esthetician, I would be treating other people in clinic, and I would put on a finishing mask or something to leave them glowy as they went home. And I would even ask myself, okay, am I leaving them glowy or am I leaving them greasy? Well, let's talk about the difference between glowy and greasy skin, and specifically the 5 things that you can do to actually combat oiliness in the skin, including looking at some medical literature that actually shows how people treat oily skin to decrease the amount of sebum, aka oil, that your skin naturally produces. We're gonna dig into all of this with medical literature, with studies, and with Dalba, who's working with us on a portion of this video. But the first thing that trips a lot of people out is that your cleanser doesn't really matter. Yes, cleansing your skin in general matters because it's a form of hygiene, and remember that hygiene is healthcare. But when it comes to the cleanser that you're using on your skin, you can use it to remove oil temporarily, but a lot of cleansers don't actually impact the long-term ability for your skin to produce or not produce oil. So if you're super oily like me, you might want to go for something like a salicylic acid or BHA cleanser. Those are oil soluble, so they get into the pore and can kind of remove it, or a clay cleanser. But it doesn't really matter as much as the products that you put on your skin and that you use throughout the day and long term, which is what we gotta talk about. A lot of people like to focus on toners and essences and oils, but what's even more important than that is the stuff that really lays on your skin and sees the rest of the world. We're talking about the moisturizer that you're using and the sunscreen that you're using and the makeup on top, because that is what is being shown to the world. That's what actually keeps your oil at bay throughout the day. And yes, if you find products that have the right ingredients, they can actually penetrate into your skin and help to stop that oil production. Now let's discuss being greasy versus being glowy. To have this glowy, gorgeous glass skin, it basically looks luminous from within. It looks like it's healthy and hydrated and supple, and it's not dripping with grease. The pores appear smaller, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of things like blackheads or whiteheads, which again, acne is totally normal. I've struggled with it my whole life. If you want to get rid of it, there are things that you can do, but you cannot hate your skin into being clear. So remember that even if you're trying to work on your acne, you don't have to hate yourself for having it because it's completely normal. I came across this first spray serum that was a bestseller at the store that I was in, and this is a truffle serum from Dalba. I at first thought it was D'Alba, but it's Dalba because it is white truffle from Italy. And this is actually a mixture of white truffle as well as avocado, but this is an absolute bestseller. And a lot of people from Italy to Korea to those who are now discovering it in the States are spraying it on for this glowy, fresh skin look. Now that's amazing because it gives the skin this nice radiance all over. And that's the main thing when it comes to looking greasy versus looking glowy. Glowy skin tends to have this radiance and this shine kind of on the forehead and the tops of the cheeks, a little bit on the chin, but it's not overdone on the corners of the nose, in the middles of the cheeks, in the middle of the eyebrows, or on the corners of the eyebrows. And that's really how you can tell if someone looks hydrated and healthy versus greasy. Is their skin covered with oil or some sort of oil serum or spray all over? Or is it just strategically highlighted? This is another one that I purchased both of these with my own money while I was actually shopping internationally, but this is the double serum all-in-one multi-balm, and I saw in a bunch of K-dramas that balms like this were going viral. And because this brand is completely vegan, I was like, ooh, I want to try a K-beauty balm that is completely vegan for me. And this gives me this glowy, hydrated look without looking overly greasy because it's not all over. Now this is also something that can be paired with something like a blush. And specifically, if you use blush strategically, it can look so good. Let me apply this and show you. This is the Youthforia. It's like a blush oil. It's a color changing oil. So I'll show you, it actually goes on completely clear. And then when it comes into contact with the pH of your body, it changes color. Now, I love to use this just a little bit on my cheeks as well as on my lips. And if you really want to, you can do like a dot on the nose. Now, this is a color changing oil, so keep that in mind. But I love that because it gives a little, you see how it's already coloring? It gives a little bit of glow without looking overly greasy, and it actually layers really well with this balm. Now, here's the difference. If you were to do this all over the face, whether it's the balm or this best-selling spray, or even a blush, which I hope you wouldn't, or like a blush oil, you bet you're gonna start looking greasy. And that's the difference, is like, do you have grease in the T-zone where it normally happens? Or is it strategically in these other areas that are not the T-zone that make you look a little bit glowy? I'm just going to blend this in with my fingers, and I absolutely love this. And that's the other thing, is that if you do use powders or powdered foundations, it actually cuts through all of the oiliness, but it also cuts through all of the glowiness. So if you're looking for a mattified look, that can be fine, but mattified is the opposite of glowy and hydrated, right? So you might want to actually ditch a lot of the powder blushes or powder foundations in your routine to actually get kind of this nice dewy glow. Oh my gosh, you did not tell me that I had dry shampoo in my hair. Oh, you did not tell me! Please tell me when that kind of stuff happens so that I don't have embarrassment. Come on, that's what we do. We take care of each other. You can see how greasy my hair is though. I need dry shampoo like 24/7. Gorgeous. Now, speaking of some of these skincare / makeup hybrid tricks, do you see how once I've applied that to my cheeks and lips, I already look more glowy and healthy and hydrated? But before you even apply some of these skincare / makeup hybrid tips, you actually want to look at what you're leaving on your skin, which includes moisturizers as well as sunscreens. And I have 2 different sunscreens for 2 different people, but first we have to talk about this moisturizer. This is the most recent product I've tried from Dalba, and look at this. Do you see this? This is like a 2-in-1. This has got to be one of the coolest moisturizers I've ever used. And it's because you can specifically mix how much hydration, basically this water formula, versus moisturization and oil that kind of locks everything in that you want. So this has 2 different compartments essentially. And one of them is this gorgeous turmeric tinted glow. The best way I would compare this is like, I would call it a honey gel. Again, it's completely vegan and cruelty free, so there's no honey in it, but it has this honey jelly texture and look. And the color is actually because of turmeric and fig that is in the product. But this side is my absolute favorite for anyone who's super, super oily, or for someone who wants that hydration and that glow without the grease. It comes with a little spoolie doohickey, and I'll take just a touch, but look at how gorgeous this is on my skin. It blends in so flawlessly, and it actually soaks into the skin, so it doesn't make you overly greasy. But this is what you want to prep your skin with. Now, on the other side, they have this cream base. This cream base is phenomenal. This side has a blend of like 8 different like superfood, but like super skin ingredients as well. So this has antioxidants, it has vitamin E, it has that white truffle, it has hydrators. And again, I'm just gonna use my spoon, but this side is much thicker. Now, this is perfect because if you want to use this at night, first off, it's super luxurious, and I can't believe the price on this is so cheap. This is like what you would expect from La Mer, but it's not La Mer priced. And that's the way I like it. And it actually works more effectively than La Mer in my personal subjective opinion. But that La Mer rant is for another day. Look at this cream and look at how nicely it goes on. This absolutely seals everything in it. It gives you a gorgeous glow. And if you're super oily, you're gonna either want to use this at night or not use a ton of it, but you can use just a touch during the day to kind of seal things in. And it gives my skin this like radiant hydration, but it's not glowy and greasy. And especially if you use the right ratio of these, I use more of the turmeric and white truffle infused honey side because it's more of like a lightweight water gel. I use more of that than the cream. As you can see, I don't use much of the cream at all, but it ends up being the perfect blend for me. And then at night, if I want to, I can kind of balance it out by adding a little bit more of the cream and like less of the liquid truffle honey blend. I don't think, again, there's nothing in here that they claim has honey in it, but it just reminds me of honey, which I love. And do you see how just freaking gorgeous that is? I am absolutely obsessed with this and the way that it works underneath sunscreen. And this is where we gotta talk, because you know SPF is your BFF, but for a lot of people who have oily skin, it's really hard to find a good sunscreen that doesn't make you look like a grease ball. A lot of sunscreens naturally have like an oily, greasy texture to them, and that's great for dry and combo skins, but not for us who are naturally grease buckets too. There are 2 sunscreens that are phenomenal, and one I would recommend for super, super, super oily skin, and the other I would recommend for mildly oily skin that, again, really wants to enhance that glow. This right here is the Murad Oil and Pore Control Mattifier Broad Spectrum SPF 45. Now, this does make your face look mattified. Please be aware, if you're going for a glowy, dewy, glass skin look, this is not going to give you that. This is going to give you mattification. And that's why putting things like this on top and strategically placing this white truffle multi-balm or this, you know, Youthforia blush, that is going to be so essential because you're giving back that hydration and the rest of the skin stays matte. But then there's also this option from Mary and May, which is a sunscreen that has niacinamide and panthenol in it. This actually helps your skin look a little bit more glowy with the sunscreen, but the niacinamide and panthenol, which are vitamin B3 and vitamin B5, they can actually decrease how much oil your skin is naturally producing. So I'll just show you on my hand this Murad one, just so you can kind of compare and see which one might be best for you. I'm also so happy about this Murad one because this used to be an SPF 15. They only made this in an SPF 15, and it was like, hello guys, nobody wears an SPF 15, we need more. And so they finally upped it to an SPF 45. And while it's wonderful, do you see how it completely mattifies the skin? You see, there is nothing dewy or glossy or hydrated about this. And if you do use this, watch what happens happens when I add this like just to the corners, just to the tops. Now you can see we have a little bit more of that hydration in those specific areas, and it gives it this glossy look without looking overly greasy. Now again, compare that to if I used these products that I had discovered when I was traveling internationally. Watch this. This hydration spray, dry it off for a second, let it set. Also, this is a really good makeup setter if you are using powder makeup, but again, would not totally recommend this for super oily prone skin. Look at this. Do you see how it now just looks glossy all over? Great if you're dry or combo and if that's what you want, but if you have oily skin, this is not what you're going for. Now let's say that you're not interested in something that is this mattifying. That's where this cushion comes in. And I actually removed the cushion because I don't know how like sanitary they are, but I guess I'm going to use my cleaned hands and fingers as well, so who knows how sanitary that is. So this is the sunscreen. It's an SPF 50 and it's in this little cushion compact, and it's completely tint free, but when you press it in, the sunscreen actually comes out. And this is fantastic because it's a little bit more dewy and hydrating than the Murad one, but it has these ingredients like the niacinamide and the panthenol, which absolutely work so well on oily skin. I especially love this on my nose. It blends in really nicely, and niacinamide has been shown to decrease the look of pores. Part of being oily is that so much oil just comes out of the pores. And a lot of that is largely genetic. For instance, certain medical studies have looked at oiliness in skin, and they've literally found that women of Chinese descent have smaller pores and less oil gland activity than people who are African American and have very large pores and more oil activity. So while a lot of that is genetic, there are things we can do about it. And that's what we're talking about here because, hello, it's me, I am a grease bucket. And can you see how that goes on? And it's not like a traditional greasy sunscreen. It's almost like, I guess like a makeup compact. They call it a sun cushion from Mary & May. That's what they are technically calling it. But it's a nice dewy glow. You can definitely layer it with other things. You can layer it over this, which I love to do. And it just gives you this hydrated aura that's also the perfect base if you want to add more or if you want to add nothing else. And that's also what's important, is that for sunscreen, you want to make sure that you can reapply it throughout the day, especially if you're in the sun. This makes it super easy to do. But what about when you get home at night? This is where kind of long-term results come in. And again, when it comes to how oily our skin is, a lot of that is dictated by our genetics, by our pore size. A lot of it is our hormones. For example, there is a 5-dehydroxytestosterone, which is an androgen. It's essentially something that causes our oil glands to produce more oil. And people who have more testosterone have more of this. And that's why actual medications like spironolactone or Accutane can actually help when it comes to skin oiliness overall. But if you don't want to take an oral medication, again, there are other things that you can do. Now, you can't really obliterate your oil glands, nor would you want to, because the oil glands do nourish the skin. They actually help to create the sebum, the oily substance that waterproofs the skin. But there are medical treatments such as photodynamic therapy, which has literally been shown to decrease oiliness in the skin. Photodynamic therapy is often used to treat skin cancers. And basically it's putting a substance on the skin or giving people a substance to take orally and then shooting light at the skin. And it literally shrinks the oil glands and stops them from producing so much oil. Now, that's minimally invasive. Obviously, you don't do that at home, but there are things that you can do at home. Remember, the cleanser that you use doesn't really matter. If you're super worried about it, get something with BHA and salicylic acid, or get something that does have clay in it. But there are face masks as well as LED light therapy that can actually be great. Let's do LED light therapy last. First, let's talk about face masks. This is one of my favorites. This is from Bubble Skincare. It's the Come Clean, and this is a hydrating clay face mask. This is important because we want to get rid of that oiliness and greasiness, but we don't want to dehydrate or strip our skin. Some clay products can be really intense. I used to actually use the Aztec Healing Clay. That was such a nightmare. That is a super drying clay that you put on your face, it dries up, and it actually makes your face pulse. And because I was so oily, especially years ago, like 15 years ago, we didn't have good options for acne prone people. So that's what I would use. And I liked it compared to everything else on the market, but overall, it didn't get rid of my oiliness and it wasn't great for my skin because it stripped so much. Thankfully, now we have better options, and this from Bubble is one of my favorites. This actually has grapeseed oil in it, as well as a whole bunch of different clays, and it's kind of like a grayish purple color that comes in a little skincare pokeball. And what's fantastic about this is that not only is it affordable, not only does the actual brand support teenage mental health, but look at how this goes on. It dries on so beautifully. It's a clay that actually binds to the oil inside of your pores to help get that oil out, but because it has hydrators in here, it doesn't overly strip the skin. Then the rapeseed oil and resveratrol and antioxidants in here actually help to nourish the skin, so it's giving back more than it's taking. This is something that I love to do before I go to bed, and then overnight my skin will kind of reap the benefits and I'll wake up in the morning. Actually, speaking of overnight treatments, I have seen, her name is Yuri. She's a wonderful content creator. She actually uses, I think it's like a vegan collagen mask or like a bio mask, and she uses it overnight and she has woken up with the craziest skin. Has anybody tried this? Because this is actually something that I'm interested in doing. But so far, this has been my oily skin equivalent. Now, because of the color, if you're going to wear this to bed, which I don't really recommend, it's gonna make a mess on the pillows. So like put this on, read a book, or like scroll on social media, then wash this off and go to bed. But this absolutely sets my skin up for hydrated, healthy heaven the next day. I love this stuff, and it works so well when you wash it off and you put something like this on overnight as a moisturizer. And again, I would use the cream side more heavy at night. You could use something like this. This right here is their double layer revitalizing serum. This is the white truffle one again, and it's really cool because it's biphase. Then you have to like shake it to combine it. If your skin really loves oils because you're that oily, then you could use this. But for me, I would only say use this overnight because during the day, it's just a little bit too hydrating for me. But we gotta talk about the LED and the photodynamic therapy. Again, the photodynamic therapy needs to be done professionally. That's not really something you can do at home, especially because you can't administer the oral, basically eaten medication. And then after the oral or the topical medication, then that light is shown on it. But interestingly enough, that light is usually LED and laser, and it's at a very specific wavelength. Now, here's the thing. We've actually seen medical studies showing that LED light therapies, specifically blue wavelengths, are number one, helpful for acne, and number two, can actually decrease oil production in the skin. There are literally medical studies showing this. Now, there are tons of different blue light therapies out there. You don't have to get a specific one. This is one that I love because this Dermabeam, it's like a budget version of the Dr. Dennis Gross. And as you can see, it has the red, but this also has different colors that you can cycle through, and you can do the blue for acne as well. Now, I like this because it protects the eyes. It actually does the lips. It's strong enough to actually work. That's what you have to look for from LED. Number one, has to be the right wavelength. Number two, has to be strong enough. A lot of the trash out there isn't. The Dr. Dennis Gross one is, but it's $400. This one is the Dermabeam Pro. It used to be $119 when it's on sale on Amazon. Sometimes it goes up to like $250, but it's worth it, and it's less expensive, and it covers the mouth, which the Dr. Dennis Gross doesn't. I love this. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I think the Dr. Dennis Gross gives people more money if they promote it or something, but for me, as an esthetician and an acne sufferer myself, I honestly don't care, and I want what works. Of course, if you ever want to support the channel by purchasing through affiliate links, all of that money goes back into supporting the people that I work with, and even maybe revamping our skin scholarship program, which helps other people get educated around skincare and go to aesthetic schools. But that's a story for another day. At the end of the day, you deserve to get things that actually work for your skin, and you deserve to know what to look for, what medical studies say, and what does and doesn't work so that you can make the right choices. So this is a budget version that I love. If you want to spend more money, you can definitely get the fancy Dr. Dennis Gross. It means nothing to me. Just make sure that you're happy with what you get and that you avoid the scammy ones, such as this piece of landfill that literally shock and short circuit your face. Like literally there's like a little gap right here, and it has literally electrocuted my friend's face before, so not chill. While these are LED options that work with different wavelengths, again, these have different colors such as the red light or the blue light, there are also things that specifically target blue light. These are ideal for acne. My favorite is actually the Light Stim and the Cell Luna, but those are used professionally. This is one that you can use at home. This is specifically blue light, and this is from the brand Elevatione. Someone help me pronounce this. Elevatione. It's really good. It's really powerful. I need to charge this obviously, but as you can see, it only has one color, which is blue. There you go. We can see it for like a second there. It really depends on what you're looking for, and we actually have a full video talking about LED and how to not waste your money on LED, what to look for and what to get to make sure it matches your skin's needs. But if you are someone who's oily, and specifically you're oily and acne prone, blue LED might be something long-term that you want to look into. But all of these are very optional, and you're going to get more of an immediate result with the actual products that you use on your skin, and specifically the products that actually stay on your skin and that you're wearing throughout the day, such as your moisturizer and your sunscreen. Now, are you serious? Are you serious? Have I had a hole in my armpit this entire time? Why didn't you tell me? Again, my dry shampoo, hole in my armpit. Baby, we gotta take care of you because you gotta tell me when this stuff happens so that I can save myself from embarrassment. I would totally tell you if you had spinach in your teeth. What on earth? Oh my God. This is also the problem for being a tall girl. Your wingspan is huge, but you rip stuff and then you don't fit in cars. And if you wear heels, you hit your head on door frames. Anyways, I will link all of these in the description for you. Please go check the ingredients. And I'm also going to pin a comment that has medical studies. If you really care about the science of why our skin creates oil in the first place and the anatomy of it and what's been medically proven to help, such as not stripping the skin and actually moisturizing it appropriately and then using the right products or the right tools and treatments, or medications like, yes, Botox or Accutane for some people. All of those medical studies are going to be there, and you're a skintellectual, you love learning these kinds of things. Get familiar with some of those studies and see what the research actually says. Because once you understand the research, you can understand what ingredients are in your products, you can turn and learn them and make decisions that actually work for you. So you can enjoy your skincare, you can use something fancy or luxurious, and you can use something that's practical and protects your skin and feel good about it and look great. And that is so empowering, especially for me. Again, when I had acne at its worst, I felt like life was just happening to me, not for me. I felt like I didn't understand my skin, I didn't have control of it, and it just impacted my mental health so negatively. And I still have good and bad mental health days, and there are the times that when I'm feeling negative about myself, I'll actually perceive my skin as being worse than it actually is. But if you understand what's happening with the anatomy of your beauty and what you can do about it, that gives you back a sense of empowerment, a sense of healthy control. And it allows you to understand that, hey, just because acne is happening, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Just because my skin is oily doesn't mean that I'm less deserving. And if I want to do something with it, sure, I can. But it's not something that I have to hate myself for. Again, all of those links are down below. Again, a huge thanks to Dalba for actually working with us to help share some of this information, to help people take control of their oily skin and to get healthy, hydrated skin on a budget that is literally comparable to luxury products, but without the price or the Ouija boards and the dead scientists, which again, if you do not know that story, please click here and watch this next video. And overall, please remember to reapply that SPF. You know which ones I love for the oily folks. Stay hydrated, both orally and topically. And most importantly, remember to be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Oh, this is a video. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy that one. Thank me later. And actually in the comments, because again, I've spent the time to link those medical studies. You should really look into them. Love you guys. Bye.